How we looking, dude? How we feeling?
Listeners, get ready for an exciting episode from your favorite homie in Davis Media, submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. This is the haunted episode 34. We've been looking forward to this for months, so long ago that it took us like literal minutes to go through our phone to find the links that we wanted to do. But we missed our chance last time around. But since Halloween is, I think, like a week away, we're going to have to turn this one quick because we got some spooky stories to get out.
Yeah, man. And we're going to focus specifically for our fellow Mainers. We're going to focus on Maine hauntings and folklore today on the program. And Dave and I each have a story that we're going to share with you. Matter of fact, I pulled mine as well as Dave's from onlyinyourstate.com.
Okay.
So
this a legitimate source. Mine's from roadsideamerica.com. They're .com, so we're going to go with it. These versions may not be the version you heard. So, but after reading over these, I'm confident that this is probably like 95% what people are talking about.
And I'm excited about it, dude, just because Halloween's my favorite time of the year. It's my favorite holiday by far.
Really?
And yeah, not only are we going to share a couple of these ghost stories in Maine, but I got a pretty good one of my own personal experience that I want to share with you, Dave, and the listeners today.
Okay. You know, I don't think I have any good ones that I've experienced, but I will say every friend of mine that has come over to stay at the house has experienced something, some feelings of energy. And I've always convinced them that, look, they know I live here. They lived here before me. We just kind of coexist. Like, if you put out the good positive, you know, we haven't felt any negative energy, but in the creek, this is the newest built part of the house. So there's nothing residual here. That's probably why when you lived here, you never really experienced anything.
Right. I can only imagine, like, when that addition was being built, because residual spirits don't like when things are changed. So I can only imagine living in that home during that renovation. That could have been kind of spooky.
Yeah. I want to say it was definitely before my dad moved in here, bought the house. He bought it in 1980. So it must have been shortly right before that when it was put on. But as you know, Maine is famous for Stephen King, arguably the greatest horror writer ever, definitely of our time. He's a spooky dude. He lives in Bangor. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but his house is painted like red. He has this old gate. This like it looks gothic. Like his house is creepy. That's just how he rolls.
Yeah. I remember him most recently because I just rewatched Sons of Anarchy, and he's in the show.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he plays a character, of course, of a guy who's going to dispose of a body for them.
The cleaner.
The cleaner, exactly.
Oh, man.
And what was so weird about it is he would listen to like classical music while he did it, which was just eerie, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of Boondock Saints when Willem Dafoe's character, he comes on the scene, he puts in the earbuds, and he's walking around with the CD player trying to figure out the crime, and it's got the classical music, and that's, I don't know, creative geniuses. Like when you write as good as Stephen King, you can kind of write your way into any show, do any cameo. Seen a bunch of his movies, and I'll tell you, growing up in Maine, you could probably attest to this. The first time you ever watched it, after watching it, walking down the street at night by those sewer drains, you would just like walk into the middle of the road just to avoid them.
I'll tell you, the one that was the creepiest to me was Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
That's the one that really freaked me out. And I see that they just released like some sort of sequel or a prequel to that or something. I got to get out and go see that.
Ooh, I'm always down for a good prequel, just like some backstory, because you've already watched, the trilogy or whatever. I got to be honest, dude. I don't watch a lot of scary movies because I get myself way too worked up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Let me just avoid. I got to have like friends over. I got to have like somebody to talk to. And I think that's just a result of having an overly active imagination, which I don't want to get rid of. But, with the pros come the cons. It's like, oh, I know I'm a filmmaker. I know they literally made this a movie and it's not real. And still, I watch it and I think, yeah, but what, like what if? Like what? I mean, what if there's some truth in that?
No, I get it, dude. It's just, I don't know. I kind of like that feeling. I kind of love that, like, out of control, like, oh, what's going to happen kind of feeling.
I hate it. It's exciting, though. It's a good, like, jolt, but I'm like, all right, that's enough of that.
Yeah. And I'm excited to get into my story here. And this first one I'm going to share with you.
Dude, what do you got for us? Because I already forgot the ones that we were talking about. And I know you had good ones.
Okay. Well, this story right here, and again, you can go to onlyinyourstate.com/main/urban-legends/-m.
We're putting people on today.
We'll leave the link in the description. It's an awful lot. But this is called The Ghost Bride of the Haynesville Woods.
Haynesville Woods, bub. I don't even know where that is.
I have no idea, nor do I really want to go there, Dave.
No.
I'm going to do my best to... I'm going to try to read this and be spooky about it.
Get into character.
All right. On a wooded road in the outskirts... Excuse me, let me start that over.
Skirts.
On a wooded road in the outskirts of Haynesville, a newlywed couple traveled on a dark winter night.
Man.
Now, the story tells us, Dave, that the groom may have had too drinks, lost control of the car, and hit a telephone pole, which immediately killed him.
Oh, my God.
So then the story goes that after the young bride crawled out from underneath the wreckage and made her way back onto the snowy road, she waited for hours and hours for someone to drive by and help her. Now, the problem here was the conditions that night meant that nobody was out on the road, right?
Right.
So the woman never received the help that she was after, and it's reported that she remained in the same place in her wedding gown and eventually froze to death on the side of the road.
Man.
It gets better because travelers on this road have reported, this is where I start to get the heebie-jeebies, man, have reported a woman in a white gown, and this is up to present day. They've reported seeing a woman in a white gown standing outside of the Haynesville woods. And this woman can still be seen wandering along the side of the road, searching for the help way back that never came to her.
Dude.
I know, right? Now, some even claim that they've actually spoken to this lady. Like, they've had conversations with her. And in these situations, a lot of drivers have reported, her situation. But as the vehicle would approach her, she would suddenly disappear. I'm going to take you one step greater here, okay? Doing my research on this story, I found accounts up to nearly present day where people have reported actually picking this woman up. Because imagine driving along the side of the road, right? You see a woman in a wedding gown. What the hell is going on, right?
Seems harmless. Like, wow, something's wrong. Like, I feel like I could pick you. I could pick you up. You're not like hooded. Like, you don't look sketchy.
You don't have a machete or a hockey mask. Like, it's a woman
so you're
in
good
a
to
wedding
go.
dress.
Yeah, neither of those things. Come on in.
Yeah, pick her up, Bob. And I read this report that somebody did. So this woman actually got into their car.
Whoa.
And they said that they were asking her where she needed to go. And she just kept saying, up there, up there, up there. Right?
Okay.
And they said that suddenly it got freezing cold in the car.
Oh my God.
And then as they approached where she was asking them to go, the woman just vanished out of the vehicle, never to be seen again.
Dude.
Jeez, dude, this is too much.
Dude, I think it just got colder in here.
Gong.
I had to rep the shirt for the show because I was like, if we're doing a haunted show, I gotta wear the Undertaker shirt.
Dude, I love it. I love that. And I went red for Kane. So,
Perfect. Dude, we're always on the same wave.
right? Look at us.
What
I
would
just
you
think,
do
yeah.
if you picked that woman up and she vanished, dude? What would you stop, or would you be like, screw it, I'm gonna keep driving?
Honestly, dude, I would turn around and go back and see if I can't repeat that again.
The cycle, because you're like, oh, if it's a residual, then maybe oh, interesting.
So they say a residual haunting is like they don't know that they're gone. They're just like reliving the same day over and over and over again. So every day this woman gets into this crash, her new husband dies immediately hitting a phone pole, and then she's crawling out of the car into the freezing snow. And some of the like nor'easters we have in Maine, like absolutely brutal. And you might be sitting there hearing this right now and wondering, what the hell is she doing getting married in the dead of winter? Look, I don't know. If you want a winter wedding, it's your wedding. Go for it, right?
And it's sometimes, maybe you wanted to save some money on the wedding, do it in the wintertime.
Right. Yeah, man, I would literally try to like redo it. I would try to see if it can't happen again. And I would probably go back. Yeah, see, you would just disappear.
I'm like, oh, like if I picked her up and she was in the car, disappeared, like, just keep driving, don't turn around.
It's so weird, man, because you got to think when you pick this woman up, is she just like transparent? Is she just like see-through? Or does this actually seem like it's a real human being?
All I know are movie rules. So you have so many movies with ghosts in them. Ghostbusters, the most obvious one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And, in Ghostbusters, most of them are see-through. The apparitions, if you will, right? And you've got Slimer, you've got the librarian. So I was always picturing like someone that you could kind of see through, but hey, maybe in the moment you're not really paying attention to that.
Yeah. Man, it's just so crazy because I watch a lot of ghost shows. I'm just going to put that right out there right
I
now.
remember you went on a binge when you were staying up here. You're like, Dave, this paranormal, I can't, what was the show?
Lockdown. Paranormal Lockdown,
dude,
bro.
Just listen, just watch the show. Like, keep an open mind. I was like,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, dude. One of my most recents that I'm super into, and I highly recommend you check it out. I'll even give you my login for it. It's on Discovery Plus, and it's called Kindred Spirits.
Okay.
And it's basically these two investigators, Amy and Adam, and then they have a third investigator who's a medium. His name is Chip. And they'll go out to these different places, mostly in New England, specifically in the first few seasons. So it's like a lot of places that you'll actually kind of recognize. Like, hey, I know about this just from growing up in New England, right?
Man.
Yeah, and they're going into all these different places. And their purpose is to kind of find out why the spirit's there, what it needs, how to help it leave. Because a lot of them are stuck, right? They don't feel like they can leave. And I just find it absolutely fascinating. Like, I just went back to the beginning and started watching them all over again.
Dude, not really my cup of tea, but I will say very entertaining when I've watched.
Yeah. And I mean, some are like super set up and weird, and you're like, oh, all right, come on now. But for the most part, I know there's definitely some show business to it. Like, you're trying to create an entertaining program, but
yeah,
for the most part, especially with Kindred Spirits, I find that it's more authentic than a lot of ghost shows that I've seen,
Yeah, I mean, we know it's showbiz. You and me, of all people, know all these things have to be created for ratings to make money. And, you don't want to outright lie, but you need to embellish and add a little tension, add some drama to it.
Yeah.
And I have a story I want to tell because it's very famous to me as a kid in Maine, especially where I grew up and going up and down the coast. But you reminded me of the home from The Conjuring.
What?
I think it's in Rhode Island, and somebody sold it. A Maine couple owned it and sold it. Who, I just don't understand. A, why would you live in that house? And B, why would you sell it to someone? And why would you buy that house, I guess? Because
I don't know, dude. The
That
Conjuring
movie
movies are super good.
Yeah, but and again, phenomenal filmmaking, but even if like a 2% of that is like kind of accurate, I'm like, I'm out.
It's too much. It's too much.
This house is not like close to other people.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing something, it's coming from your house.
Yeah, dude. And there's like, I mean, you can go from residual hauntings to like intelligent ones and then demonic ones. And very rarely in a lot of these shows that I watch do they come into contact with something like that. But when they do, dude, it is something else. And it's like, that's when I draw the line and I'm like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't accept this. In rare instances, I've even seen in some of these shows that this demonic entity will follow them. And it's no, cut. I don't like, no strings on me. Let me out of here,
Yeah, you have to be careful with this realm. If you believe even a little bit, then take heed, take caution. And listen to this next one I've got.
What do you got?
Because it's a doozy. This one, there's a lot of reality in this, and it's called Colonel Buck's Cursed Tomb. Okay, this is a real gravesite. I've been to it multiple times. It is about an hour and a half outside of where I live, Portland. You drive up the coast, and you get to a place called Bucksport. And there was a colonel. The colonel's name was Colonel, I believe, Jonathan Buck. He was the founder of the town. Bucksport. It's his port. His last name was Buck, so you get it.
What about Kennebucksport?
That doesn't make any sense. Anyway,
okay,
like Bucks, forward. It's his port. So,
any relation to Joe Buck?
Not that I know of, and hopefully for Joe Buck's sake, there isn't any. So you drive. I'm going to read this from roadsideamerica.com.
Oh, dude, here we go. Get ready.
A drive along Maine's craggy coast. It's annoyingly picturesque. Pretty little towns and roads are clotted with leisure drivers, when all you really want is a clear path to the cursed tomb of Colonel Buck. Perhaps the curse can be blamed for the traffic problems. People in this part of Maine can pin practically anything on that damn tomb. The tomb of the town's founder, Colonel Jonathan Buck, it features a mysterious stain. Okay, so for those of you that are that have the internet, just fire up Bucksport, Maine, Colonel Buck's tomb. You're gonna
throw it
see
in the old Google machine, right?
There's an outline of a leg, and it's this tomb. It's a tall stone. Okay, so it kind of looks like a boot or like a woman's stocking-clad foot. So just imagine that. And it's clear as day. This is not like you have to look up close. Like you can almost see this. You can see it driving by. I'll say that. Like that's pretty clear. So the leg stain on this memorial, according to legend, came about when Colonel Buck burned a witch, had her and her leg rolled out of the bonfire. So to add a little bit more to that story, there's a rumor, legend has it, that he was having an affair with this witch. Now, we all know that mostly, and probably 99 to 100%, these witches were just women who were living in an alternate way. So this woman was divorced or unmarried and in your 40s and 50s. It was very uncommon, especially back in the 1800s, for that to be. So people would make up all kinds of reasons why you were a
she must be a witch.
Exactly. Anyway, Colonel Buck.
Real quick, before you move on, there are still tons of quote unquote witch ovens in and like all around New England.
That's
and quite
crazy.
a few in Maine that I've walked into them.
So a lot of that is myth, because most witches were hung or stoned. Brutal either way.
Yeah, geez.
We don't know. We don't know.
We
about
weren't
the
around.
ovens, right? We don't know. So the leg, legend has it, rolled out of the bonfire. That's why we see an outline of a leg. So Colonel Buck's heirs, his kids and kin, tried to clean the foot off the stone, multiple times. It says they have replaced the monument twice, replaced the whole monument, but the foot, it keeps coming back. Won't
Now,
go away.
This is the foot of the witch.
Yes.
It's like, no,
it's
no,
an
no,
outline
no.
of a woman's leg. Actually,
Yeah.
one of my friend's dads, who is just an all-around handyman, one time he was on the job. He was up there for a week. And he said they'd go, they'd clean it off. It'd be 3 p.m. They'd call it a day. Come back the next day, like they did no work.
What?
It was just back. It won't go away. They replaced the monument. Now, this isn't like the most terrifying curse to,
right.
put onto someone, but you got to think this was like the woman's revenge for him not telling people about the affair, about killing her, all these things. So to this day, in 2023, probably almost 200 years later, the outline is still there.
And I'm glad you went into detail there, because I'm over here thinking, like, if we explore this a bit, this is this woman's way. Obviously, she can't come out and tell us, but this is her way of not letting him forget and his next of kin forget.
Right. So the founder's legacy forever tarnished, in a visual way. It even goes on to say that the woman's son, the witch's son, said, "Your tomb shall bear the mark of a witch's foot for all eternity."
Golly, dude, what?
And so to this day, it's a very popular site. They've even added like handicap ramps and parking, so you can go up close. And I wouldn't recommend touching it, but you can get up close and look at it, take a photo. I mean, it is clear as day. And it is one of the weirdest monuments I've ever seen in person.
Is it strange that I want to get a selfie with the leg?
Yeah, but I would not do that, because what if you look back at your photo or your video and you see some weird stuff in that?
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
That's why I always am like, I don't want to know. I don't even want this photo evidence. I don't want to know if someone was standing next to me or behind me or what it was. But Bucksport, Maine, if you ever make a trip up this way, you should go check it out, because it is it's pretty cool. It is really cool to see, especially knowing that they tried to remove the monuments, but replaced twice, and clean it. I mean, probably tried to clean it hundreds of times.
Dude, that's just spooky. And like, I mean, it's a saying as old as time, hell have no fury like a woman scorn, or in this case, an alleged witches. That's just wild, bro.
Yeah, dude, they're real, man. In New England, I mean, what am I, like less than 90 miles from Salem, Mass right now?
Yeah. Our pal Paul was just out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing the whole Salem witch stuff with his lady.
Dude.
I was kind of jealous. Yeah.
I have done Halloween in Salem once when I was like a kid. I was like my dad, I think Ryan was there, and we were with our friends, Laura and Ashley and their mom. And I think we went to like a psychic to do like a reading, and I don't really remember what they said, but I remember it was really cool, and everything was like dressed up, and you could go into like the dungeons and all the houses. So, man, I mean, it's spooky season. It's a good date spot, no doubt.
Yeah, well, I want to get into a few phone calls.
Ooh, you got phone calls. Okay, we got some bonuses today, people.
So recently on my radio show here in Denver for Hits 95.7, which you can listen for free on the iHeart app if you feel so inclined, I asked people to talk to me about if they've ever experienced a haunting, right?
Oh.
And I want to dive into, I got 3 calls, and you'll hear me on these a little bit popping in and out, right? And then after these, I wanted to tell you about 2 personal instances, maybe 3, and the third one involves your father's home.
Oh.
Of interactions I've had with the quote-unquote supernatural.
Man, okay. Hey, buckle up, everybody. We got a lot here.
We got a lot to get into.
Hold on to your butts.
All right, I'm going to go into this first call here. And this is about a caller's grandmother's house.
Okay.
Here we go.
The property used to be an army hospital, like back in the Revolutionary War, right?
I already don't like where this is going.
One day, my mom was going inside, and she looked up at the top of the stairs, and my grandma's dog looked at her funny, and my mom kind of felt this weird feeling, and then the iron front door, this heavy door, slams shut, and she sees like a white mist zoom from the stairs past the dog into the dining room.
Yeah, I'm out. Dude, what?
Oh my God, dude. I'd be running out of that house faster than that spirit went up the stairs.
Oh my goodness. And just, I would have literally pooped my pants for that huge iron door to slam like that and then for something to shoot, you know what I mean?
There's one big door in the house here, and I can only imagine if that thing slammed, you would hear it in every corner of the house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Old houses, dude.
Yeah, and that's like a first like hand encounter, which I just thought was really cool. I wanted to share that with you.
Wow. Yeah, if your pet knows something's up, then something's up.
Yeah, because dogs can sense this kind of stuff, man. Like it's weird. Let's get into our next call here. This one is about a caller's father.
When my dad passed away, we had this picture that hung at the bottom of the stairs. That picture was there for my entire life, never moved. Right after my dad passed away, it fell off the wall.
Okay, I'm getting the heebie-jeebies right now, but what was it a picture of?
A picture of ship that was my dad's.
And you swear it was him?
Oh, he definitely did it.
Man. See, this one not as spooky. It's almost like this woman's father is kind of like, ha ha ha, guess who's here watching over you? Just like hijinks, right?
Yeah, just like, hey, you know that's my picture, and like I had to tell you somehow.
Yeah.
That's pretty, stuff like that, like
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. If that happened to me, I'd be like, all right, I see you.
Right. So this next one is, this caller was telling me about like her sister and how she could see ghosts. I don't know, dude. Just check this out.
We were sleeping and we had bunk beds at the time. She would wake up and she would swing her head below, so I could see her hair draping, and she would say, I see dead people. And I would say, no, you don't. And she goes, there's one standing right there.
So either this younger sister, because remind you, I chopped this down, but the gist of this was when they were both younger girls, right?
Right.
The older sister is telling me the story, and she would do this all the time. So either the sister was like constantly messing with her, or, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a medium per se, but maybe she's more sensitive to that stuff, because some people can be. And maybe she can just see that. Oh my God, dude, literally up my back and spine just talking about it right now. Maybe she can see that stuff and sense that stuff, even if it's not negative. It's just, oh, hey, there's so-and-so over there.
You can see it. It was like the movie The Sixth Sense,
Yeah.
And like, it's like, oh, like this kid can see everything.
Yeah. That's just crazy. So either, this younger sister was pulling a fast one after seeing that movie, or, I mean, who's to say? Maybe she really could.
Isn't that it's like the number one reason that I wouldn't want to have kids, because I wouldn't want them to come and show me a drawing of their imaginary friend, and it's like terrifying, and be like, no, it's not. Nope. Try again. Yep. Do a different drawing.
Here's mom and here's dad, and then here's.
You're like, I'm sorry, who? I don't remember inviting that guy over.
And it's just like a dark marker with a bunch of just squiggly lines.
You're like, well, that's quite an act of imagination there, champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah.
And then he's like, doesn't like when you talk like that, Dad.
Yeah, well, tell him to start paying rent and get a job.
No, look out. So those right there, those are the 3 calls that I have for you.
Good ones.
Again, just quick little bits that I did on my show. and I thought that I would share them with you and our listeners here on Hanging with Homie.
Man, great shares. Yeah. Those were, dude, those were good. I see, this is why I don't go look for this stuff, because I don't need to scare myself.
So, as promised, I wanted to round out today's episode with a couple of experiences that I've had with the supernatural, per se. So there became a moment in time where me and a bunch of my buddies got like super obsessed with this stuff. Okay? I remember there was like certain haunting videos going around like early internet days before everything was super accessible. And because it was that specific moment in time, it was like way more believable.
Yeah, like before YouTube, you're like, hey, did you see this one video? Like, oh.
Right.
And everybody knew, oh, yeah, that video.
Yeah. So after watching a bunch of this stuff, I remember it was like me and Wade and Chantel and like some other folks. And we're all decided, well, let's go see what we can find. Let's go ghost hunting. That was the new phrase, right?
Yeah.
So we did. And I'm living in Westbrook, Maine at the time. Shout out to Brook City. And I'm trying to recall. This is right off Main Street, literally. And there's like a hardware store, kind of like you're going to go on to Central. But if you go back down Main, there's a graveyard.
Oh, yeah, I know the one.
And it's behind this big home, this big house, right? And so we're wandering through. And you're going to think I'm crazy, dude, but I had the weirdest interaction. It was so dark in there that I lost sight of where I was. And I couldn't see the paths to walk in between graves or around and whatever. So I accidentally walked across where somebody was buried.
Dude.
Right? And by the time I had finished walking across, it was too late. I didn't realize it because it was so dark. And then suddenly, like the grass, like there was tall grass, and the tall grass just starts moving back and forth. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Not like wind?
No, dude, like none. And then all of a sudden, you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, Dave, but 2 dogs appeared, and they looked like German shepherds.
Whoa.
And they were freaking pissed at me. They were growling at me and showing their teeth, and their hair was standing up on their backs, and they were like just salivating. And I'm like, holy like, are you guys seeing this? You know what I mean? And nobody else could see it.
Were your friends around you?
Yeah, Wade was right there, and everybody else, everyone was like kind of around. And I'm like, guys, stop. I'm like, look at this. And then the dogs turned around and they ran away. But as they ran through the grass didn't move.
Whoa.
And the only thing that I could really wrap my head around was whoever's grave that I accidentally walked across because I was young and just foolish and out there with my friends, not trying to do any hurt or harm to anybody, just trying to be, have fun. I think whoever's grave I walked across, those 2 dogs belonged to them, and they were there to tell me, hey, like, be respectful, like, we protect this person.
Wow. Even in the afterlife, man.
Yeah. And remember, like, a dog is a man's best friend. So, like, that made sense to me. And you can see how, like, protective certain dogs can be of certain people. So, like, that completely made sense to me. And for me to remember this 20 some odd years later, it obviously had an impact on me. So to me, it was a very real experience.
I mean, yeah, if you still remember it now and can tell the story that vividly.
Yeah.
Just because, what did they say in Harry Potter? Just because it's in your mind doesn't mean it's not real.
Right.
But to you, this was right in front of you.
It was very real, man. It was very real. And another instance, this same group of friends expanded.
Okay.
And we're going to go out to Windham, Maine. And apparently off this side road, It's like a long dirt road. And it brings you all the way down to this graveyard. And remember earlier, I was mentioning to you about the witch ovens.
Yep.
Those were here.
Jeez, dude.
So we got 2 cars, right? And we all pull up, and it's just dirt road. And then to our immediate left is the gravesite with the witch ovens and stones and all that stuff. I'm getting out of breath talking about it because it freaked me out, dude. So we get out of the car and we close, you get out of the car, close the door. We just start wandering around, and somebody brought a camera, like a digital camera with a flash, so we could try to see if we could see any orbs and stuff, right? That was
nice.
the thing. So
Yeah.
there were pictures of me and Wade in the witch oven with orbs all around us. And it's
Jeez,
like,
dude.
it's fascinating, all right? Everything was fun. Everybody having a good time. Let's get in the witch oven and take pictures. And oh my goodness. Jeffro's brother, Mikey, was there with us. And I don't know if he was messing with us or not, but he kept saying, guys, we shouldn't be here. Somebody just told me in my ear we shouldn't be here and that we need to leave.
Jeez, dude.
And we're like, is he just messing with us? Because again, we're all real skeptics.
Yeah.
And this instance was before the one with the dogs. If the instance with the dogs would have happened before this, I would have said, yep, we're getting the frig out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then we're like, no, dude, everything's fine. We get our pictures and we're checking the tombstones, like who's here and, whatever. And then we start to walk back towards the car. Like we're done. The fun's over. We're going to leave. But randomly, Dave, all of the car doors are open.
Whoa. And everybody's been together.
Everybody's been together. Nobody split off. We've all been together in this pack. And remember, 2 cars. Every single door was open on the cars. And I swear to you, the cars were moved up. They were not only were all the doors open, but the cars were far, like they were further up than where we parked. And I remember like, guys, we need to get the out of here right now. And everyone's like, hey, who came back and opened all the doors and moved the cars? And it's like, well, he couldn't, she couldn't have, I couldn't have, you couldn't. We were all together this whole time. And then that like freaked us right out, where we hopped in the cars and we got the hell out of Windham, Maine real quick, dude.
But no photos of these cars with the doors open. Because in that moment, you're not thinking, let's get a picture.
There might be. I'd have to talk to some people to see if there is. But I can tell you, man, we could try to call Wade right now and get him on. We could try to call Mikey right now and get him on. Alana, try to get him. Like, they were all there.
Wow,
and this was
dude.
like very real. I don't know that we went out ghost hunting much after that, to be fair.
Well,
So-
wise. Yeah.
Yeah, just it was so bizarre, man, between somebody telling Mikey in his ear, and maybe he's more sensitive to that stuff,
Right.
And maybe he's, gosh, I can't find the word for it, but maybe that kind of stuff, he's just can feel that more, that energy, right?
Yeah.
So it's
he's
just
more sensitive to it, or he's just messing with you all this time.
Bro, if he is still holding on to this
Ultimate
lie,
troll.
right, for what, almost 2 decades, f- you, Mikey, straight up, bro. But then how do you explain the doors being all open on the car and the cars being moved?
Well, for all of us who weren't there, we have to take your word for it. Mm-hmm. And everyone else. So the only way that could explain it is you know what would be creepier is somebody was watching you guys.
Yeah.
And then they just did the doors and left.
Oh, man. That's like, to think that it wasn't like some sort of entity or energy or spirit.
Right.
It was just some human being. Like, oh, I'm going to fuck with these kids,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe, dude. People
Maybe
pull
it was you. You seem
tricks
to
and
know a lot
treats.
about it.
No, because at that time, it was like high school, so you and me weren't hanging out that much.
No.
So no, I was probably studying, to be honest.
There's a picture that Wade shares with me all the time. I think he recently put it on my Facebook, and it's of me and him at that first site in Westbrook, and he has a big knife with him. He's gonna cut a ghost or something, and he has my Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy for comfort.
I've seen that picture. I just saw it.
Yeah, like that was the night of the dogs.
Wow.
So now when you see that picture, you know, like we were legitimately there.
Dude, that was all right. That's some pretty intense encounters.
That's why I'm, I think I believe in this stuff more than the average person, is just because of these instances that, they seem too real and too detailed and too like reasonable to be fake to me,
Yeah.
I'd say the third one here is when I first moved into the Creek, the apartment at your dad's place. I remember when we were real young, your grandma lived there with him.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, she did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only ever met her a few times, right? But I remember as a kid, it was a little scary to me.
Yeah.
It just was, But I remember when I moved in, I kept saying this thing to myself over and over again, my first night that I went to bed. And it was, I mean nothing but good and only positive. I'm a friend of both Dave and Ryan, and I only mean good and positive. And I kept saying that out loud. So think about how, that's kind of nuts, right? But I was literally saying that out loud with all the lights off, And part of that was because of when I was in 6th grade and 12 years old, I was a little spooked out by her. But then the other part was, well, this home's been around since the 1800s. So who knows what other entities and spirits are in and around this area,
Right. Yeah, you're not trying to disturb. You're like, hey, I'm trying to fit in too. I live here just like you guys.
Basically, yeah. And, I still remember saying something along those lines over and over again to myself, and everything went smooth.
So you brought the positivity, man. That's all you had to do.
Yeah. So you can sit there and tell me that you've never experienced anything like this ever.
No, only if it was like, oh, I watched a movie and my mind got going, but nothing like I was just chilling, doing whatever, and then suddenly, I saw something, I heard something.
Yeah.
The house makes so much noise as it is, especially in the winter because the furnace comes on.
Yeah.
You always think of that great scene when Kevin McAllister goes downstairs to the to the furnace and he's scared, and then after he's like, "Shut up,
shut up." It's so good, dude.
It's I think it's when you feel the energy. I guess when the spirits feel your energy, they kind of make a decision and they know, oh, this guy's here. He's he's one of us.
Right.
This is our house.
Yeah.
But there's only been 5 owners of this house ever.
Really? Now, can you track back to where each of them?
Probably could, yeah. 1799 was the first owner. I think he was a doctor from the Revolutionary War, and then there was 3 owners, and then my dad.
That's crazy.
So I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Because I'm thinking, could you trace it back to each family and find out, how long they were there? Did anybody pass away or whatever?
For sure.
And the other thing you were mentioning, that house, and what just popped into my mind was that outlandish audio message that I sent you months ago about a dream I had about Westbrook Street.
Yeah. Oh, when you were just waking up and you're like, I don't even know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, dude. I wonder if I can find that to play that. I don't know, but the gist of it was, I sent this to Dave and I felt like a madman, right? I just woke up from this vivid dream.
Yeah.
If you're hearing my voice right now, I know you've had an experience where a dream felt like it was so real that you woke up and you thought you were in it. Like that vivid, right?
Right.
And the gist of it, and again, if I can find that audio message, which I'd have to dig back through our stuff for quite a while, but if I can, I'd love for you to insert it in here. But basically, the gist of it was, I was in a fight with the girlfriend, and I don't even know where we were, right? We could have been anywhere. And she just left with her sister. So I took the car, so I had to walk home. I had no idea where I was, and I just started walking. And then all of a sudden, I wind up on Westbrook Street. But when I turned onto the street, everything was black and white.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah. So if I'm walking up Westbrook Street, your dad's place is going to be on the right.
Yep.
Okay? So this is the way that I was walking. And there were Civil War soldiers on the right side of the road, of the street. And there were two of them. And they would march one up the street and one down. And they would pass each other. And they had guard dogs with them. And remember, everything is in black and white.
Yeah.
And I'm just like walking past them. And they're kind of like, in their, accents, whatever they would have been at the time, it was kind of just like, oh, stranger, like, are you lost? I'm like, no, I'm going home. And it was like they could interact with me, but they couldn't stop me.
Right.
They were they were continually just doing their thing, back and forth, up and down. Oh, what are you, lost, stranger? And then finally I'd made it up to your house. And I woke up, I got home. And for some strange reason, I think it's because what living there did for me, as far as growing up, as far as giving me a place to call my own, to be responsible on my own, it turned around my life that was heading towards a pretty rough way. And it allowed me to fail and figure it out as I went and have a safety net, so to speak. So I've always looked at that place as kind of home. So when she ditches me, I was like, well, where am I going to go? She goes, I don't know, go home. So I started walking to your dad's house.
Huh.
And that's when it was just so weird, dude.
So many people, and I recently went to my friend Nick's wedding, Nick Foster, and both of his sisters have lived up here. Wow. You've lived up here. I've lived up here. Ryan lived up here.
Yeah.
I mean, more people that I can't even remember right now, but it is like a magic. There's magic dust in this apartment that once you've lived here, you take off in a rocket ship to whatever you're going to do next, career-wise, life-wise, health-wise. Everything goes well for you. So this place has, dude, the creek. Healing powers in the creek, man.
Yeah. It was just so weird, man. And, I don't know. The part that I'm still wrapping my mind around was the Civil War soldiers. Because I know there were Mainers that were heavily involved in the Civil War. You were
probably talking to Corey a bunch.
Yeah, I was. And then when I visited Maine last time, I bought Gettysburg.
Oh, yeah, great one. Great film.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, this would be, a couple-hour movie. This would be sweet, It's like a 6-hour film or something,
Yeah.
And it's just it's not so much like a cinematic adventure as it's kind of like a shot-for-shot almost recreation of what allegedly happened based off what's been documented. So it very well could have been part of that flipped my brain in that weird. I don't know, dude. I'm losing it.
We're interpreting dreams here, but yeah. So it's spooky season. We got some stories down and trying to get you in the mood because Halloween's coming up in a week.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking at the calendar right here. and we're recording this on the 24th, and Halloween's coming up. I think is it on a Tuesday?
I believe it's on a Tuesday, yeah. Going
Yep,
up
Halloween.
on
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Halloween, man. I love it, dude. I love it. And
Yeah.
last thing I wanted to ask you was, is there any, like, and I know you said you don't really care for horror movies, but I know being the filmmaker you are, you know, maybe that's tough. Are there any, like, horror movie classics that, like, everybody loves that you haven't seen?
That I haven't seen.
Yeah. Because even if you don't care for, like, the spooky tales and the story, it's like the way it's made.
I still watch everything. Like, even if it's going to scare me, I'll still watch it. Man, that I haven't seen. I kind of watch everything. Probably some of the more recent. I haven't seen all the Saw films. I haven't seen, just the more recent stuff I haven't seen. But I've watched like all of the classics, like Halloween. The original is okay. You got to understand that became like a juggernaut franchise, and that first film was made for $300,000, and it has, crazy. I think, the first use of a Steadicam in a major motion picture. Shot. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, you know, I love diving down the rabbit holes of how that was all made. And so then when you go and watch it again, you're like, my God, this is incredible that they did that for that shoestring budget. Yeah. Not my, like, favorite cup of tea, but yeah, I'll definitely, I always get into the mind of the filmmaker, like, how'd they do that? How's a cool effect? And then the reason I like the more classic films is because they had to do so much in camera and they didn't have computers. So for them to pull off some of the stuff with minimal computer work,
dude.
The practical effects, you're just like, man, that is tough to do.
Yeah, like I've seen, you know, on some of these Friday the 13th DVDs and stuff, they'll have the kind of, how we did this and how we did that and who was the makeup person. And I'm like, that is just phenomenal that you did all that in real time, like in camera. Like, it's just super cool.
And they had to think about it and say, all right, if here's the effect, like here's a kill, here's the effect. The blood has to look real. This all has to happen in real time. People have to hit lights. You have all these people just out of frame doing stuff to make sure that it's good.
Yeah.
And then the editor has to cover it.
Yeah, I remember one of them that was so interesting, I thought, I think it was when Kevin Bacon, his character, was getting killed.
Yeah.
And they had the hose running down, and there was somebody under the bed with a pump.
Yeah.
And they were to pump out the blood. But when they pushed the lever, the tube came out. So he had to grab the tube and blow on it and keep blowing on it until that's why the blood was shooting up like that, and it ended up being like a happy accident.
Man, see, like practical effects. You wouldn't have, if you tried to make it perfect in a computer, you would have tried to make it perfect.
Right. Yeah.
So
I love horror movies, man. I love, ghost ones. I love slashers. I just all that kind of stuff. I like to feel a little bit uneasy about what's going on,
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, happy Halloween season to you, my friend.
Yes, and happy Halloween. And happy Halloween to all of you. We hope you enjoyed this one.
I know it's getting close to the witching hour over there, as they say.
Well, very good. Well done. It is actually.
Yeah. So for Dave, my name is JR. This has been Hanging with Homie. I want you to know I got home as fast as I could after my air shift. I scoffed down 2 McDoubles in the car on the way here so I wouldn't have to cook. And I ran upstairs and I turned on the lights and I sat like, dude, I was so excited for this episode. For Dave, my name is JR. This has been Hanging with Homie. Happy Halloween season to you. And remember, most importantly, it's cool to be you, my friend. Peace out.
Peace.